I don't think I've ever seen somebody who hates white people as much as this person.
I do not give a fuck if white people go extinct. And the reason why is because I'm not a white supremacist. I don't think that white skin is inherently better because I'm not a fucking idiot. I get so many messages like this, like, oh my God, like, you don't care about the white man. Like, white men are so oppressed.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there. She doesn't care if white people go extinct because she's not an idiot and she's not apparently a white supremacist. So does that then mean that if you were to say that, hey, white people going extinct is not a good thing, that makes you a white supremacist? That's an interesting way to look at things. Listen, I don't think that white people should go extinct. Why? Because there's a lot of fantastic countries out there that are predominantly white. And if you were to wipe out all of the whiteness out of those areas, that would be a bad thing. Okay, now the thing about saying that is you automatically sound like a horrible racist piece of shit for some strange reason. We have it ingrained into our psyche that if you say anything positive about white people in general, then you are a bad person. And that's just not the case. This is the reality of the situation. Wiping out anyone based on their skin color is a bad thing. It is not a good thing. It has never worked throughout history. It is awful. And you may just think that this is just some strange lady making videos about this on the internet, and that's not the case. We are seeing white people get replaced all over the world, and that is not a good thing. If you went to Africa and you decided to replace all of the black people with any other color, that would be seen as a negative. But when you do it in the UK, in England, the white people's homeland, I guess you could call it that. It sounds a bit weird, but it's probably correct. That is seen as a great positive, and I think that is just strange. People say this shit, and this is Kylie Brewer, if you didn't know. We've done a video on her before, but she makes so much content, so many videos, that I had to make a follow-up. When white people say these things, they're actually just saying, I hate everything about the color that I am. And that is an awful way to live your life. Kylie Brewer does this shit all the time. She makes it very, very well known that she hates men, she hates white people, she hates all of these things. And all of this is in my opinion, obviously. I don't know what she actually hates, but going off her content, I'm going to show to you today evidence to suggest that I'm possibly correct in my hypothesis. Let's go on and listen to the rest of what she has to say.
I have dated people of all races. That has never been a factor for me. What is a factor is the person's vibe and personality.
She's not wrong. Like, skin color doesn't matter in the sense of dating and things like that. And it doesn't matter in, well, any sense when you break it down, except when you say, I don't care if one skin color goes extinct. Like, that's just such an odd position to take.
Most of the white men that I've encountered have been incredibly repulsive, racist, or disgusting, especially in small towns. It's not important to me to marry a white man to pass on my white genes.
I don't disagree with what she's saying. I think it is odd if you choose to marry someone based on their skin color. But enough about Kylie being definitely not a white supremacist, which she went on to say several other times in that video. Anyway, it's always weird when people defend that point. I'm not, I swear I'm not. Okay, we get it. She's made a lot of videos. She makes a video every single day, actually, on one of these topics, and it's always interesting to see people's reactions to it. And unfortunately for Kylie, she's stuck somewhere in the middle of these are my political beliefs, and it seems like she's making rage bait at the same time. Because her positions are so fucking ridiculous that when you listen to them, you just go, surely this person's just fucking full of shit. This person doesn't actually believe this nonsense. But maybe she does. A quick reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that only 40% of the people that watch these videos are subscribed. So if you're in that 60%, please hit subscribe right now. And even if you're feeling extra generous, press the like button. Why? Because this video is then shown to more people. That's YouTube's algorithm. It's a whole thing. Anyway, go and do it right now. Thank you and goodbye. I think we should have a quick look at who Kylie actually is. Kylie Brewer, a feminist activist, LGBTQ+, and she's anti-racist. So she's a good person, better than all of you. And me, we are all bad, shitty people. Here's something I learned about Kylie. She really does think she is fucking God's gift. I'll tell you that. She put photos at the beach followed by all men burn. That's interesting. But yeah, she takes photos of herself, in lingerie, you go through her Instagram and she basically posts thirst traps as well. Like, what the fuck is this vibe? Like, it's like, you know, whatever. Like, they're normal photos, but just for what you're trying to sell on your Instagram, it just seems slightly odd. Yeah, like every video, she's got her boobs out, and it just seems like a strange way to sort of punctuate her message, I think would be an interesting way to say that.
Conservatives love to drink and drive.
Oh, okay.
They'll go to a bar, get shit-faced, and try to drive themselves
Is this where are you pulling this from?
This isn't just anecdotal evidence either. Like, there are tons of studies that have shown a correlation between living in rural areas as well as
understanding the dynamics of alcohol impaired driving in rural. Well, is that more just a rural thing? Because I think it's the same here in Australia. Like, people who live out in the bush are more likely to just drink and drive. I don't know. I see a lot of these videos that Kylie does make, and a lot of them are fucking clutching at straws at best. White supremacy is the greatest threat to America. 5 ways I've been dealing with, been targeting since leaving MAGA.
If you don't know me, hi, I'm Kylie. I was raised MAGA and I left when I was 17. Since I have started this platform, I have been doxxed, I've had my phone number leaked, and now I'm shadow banned on TikTok. Literally, my videos haven't gotten more than like 5,000 views in the last week.
She has left a cult-like setting to join another fucking cult. Maybe you're the problem, Kylie. Maybe you going to the far right, maybe you being on the fringes of the right, now the fringes of the left, that is a perfect example of the problems with your own personality and who you are. Maybe you should take a good hard look at yourself rather than telling everybody else what to think.
Being a racist white person gets you the same status and social recognition that being a misogynist does. What I mean by this is, for other in-group members, if you say something racist, you're trying to communicate that you're just really chill and you don't care about society. And
I think most people who say things that are racist say them in a joking way to get a laugh, and that's okay. Oh my God.
For example, in a crowd of white people, if a white man goes up and makes a toast at a wedding and says something slightly racist, it would probably get a lot of laughs. It's almost in the same way
because he's joking. He's not being he's not saying what he actually thinks. And if that man is or does happen to be a racist person, and everyone knows it at that wedding, it would get a lot less laughs. People would probably politely giggle because they don't want to make a fucking stand at a wedding. I'm sure you would want to, but they wouldn't want to go, let's ruin the wedding because fucking Uncle Dave said something. Most people will only laugh at someone who says something racist if they know that that person themselves is not actually racist in any way.
Rebellious or edgy, like, yeah, fuck it, I can say whatever I want. It's the same way how bragging about how many women you've slept with or calling women bitches or whatever gets you some sort of clout among men. In a lot of circles, the worse you talk about women,
I mean, maybe when you're 18,
the more highly ranked in that circle you are. Like, you're more likely.
Like when you're 18, if you go, man, I fucked 40 women, everyone's like, oh my God, that's like the craziest thing I've ever heard. And if you turn 35 years old and you go, dude, I've had sex with 100 women, everyone around you's like, oh, who the fuck's got time for that? Gross. That's a lot of puss, man. Get a job.
To be seen as some sort of like alpha male or whatever archetype. So it's literally a symbol of status and social recognition to be able to say those things.
No, Kylie, again, you are wrong. These are... You don't understand male society. Stay in your lane, babe. Why time is racist. This should be a good one.
Hi, this is just a reminder that hustle culture is white supremacy. Prior to colonization, there was no structured idea of...
Okay. Prior to colonization, now colonization did a lot of bad things, okay? When the British colonized Australia, they did some evil things to the Aboriginal people here, genocide and horrible massacres. But they also did a whole heap of really positive things, and that's why we live in the society we do today, with big buildings and shit. And that happened all over the world. It wasn't just the British. People all over the world were colonized by different, more advanced groups. And I know that may sound horrible to say more advanced, but they were. It wasn't based on their skin color. They just happened to progress through the Stone Age and the fucking Iron Age and all these things at different times. If you want to argue against those facts, then do it on your own time. Fuck off away from this channel. It just so happens that some people were more advanced than others. That's what I'm saying. Now, time. If you are worried about time being racist, you're a... That is my argument to that point.
Human beings would wake up, find food, eat the food, be in community with their tribes, and then go to sleep and do it again each day.
Are you suggesting that tribes and people of color who lived in tribes, they didn't have a concept of time? Maybe they didn't have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock sort of time, but surely they had different ideas of what time was. You know, we would just wake up, it's sunrise. Maybe they called it something else. The middle of the day, the sun's in the middle of the sky. We call it something else. It's about to set. What do we call it then? It's now nighttime. These are all versions of time. And to suggest that white time is some sort of negative thing, you're a fucking idiot.
There was no concept of being lazy. You didn't have to be productive to have worth in society.
Oh, okay. So there was no lazy people. Ever. Before white people colonized different countries, there was no lazy people. You think there was no people in different tribes or groups or societies back then, back in the day, that weren't, you know, working as hard as others, and people in that tribe or society or group or mob shamed them, had their shits with them, complained about them? Do you genuinely think that? You fucking goose.
Oh, if you can't work, even if you have a chronic health condition, physical, mental, or emotional, you are seen as subhuman.
I would say some of those people are seen as subhuman, like people who catch a bus. Do you catch a bus every day? You're probably subhuman. Anyway, okay, if you look at all the disabled people, right? Some are very disabled, like they're in a wheelchair or severely autistic. They're the outliers. And then there's on the other side, there's the people who have I've got ADHD. You've self-diagnosed yourself with ADHD and autism, and you're trying to get fucking benefits for being Down syndrome as well. You know, those are the people look at like, fuck it, shut up, go to work. And then there's all these other people in the middle, and it's a case-by-case situation. If you are lazy in society and people look at you like, hey, you could be doing something, then yeah, people are going to look down on you. And that's just the way that it is. That is brought to us by years, and I'm talking about millennia of tribal life. Built into our DNA, built into our psyche, our epigenetics. We look down on people who don't provide for the tribe. The very thing that you're talking about that doesn't exist, apparently.
So yes, while it's great to have goals and ambition, you have to be able to let yourself relax. Because if you don't, you are feeding into this system of white supremacy that is trying to literally steal your soul away from you. If you don't...
I would argue that's more of a capitalist sort of way of looking at things. Like, you got to go to work, you got to do this, you got to do that. And that's the society that we've built, which brings a lot of positives. There's also a lot of negatives. You know, it starts at school. You got to get up in the morning. You got to go to school. You got to brush your teeth. You got to do this. You got to have your breakfast. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. You got to do this. Then you get home and you fuck around and you go to bed. And you do that every single day for the rest of your life. That's rushing. That doesn't happen, obviously, when you're out in the bush, out in the woods, out in the forest, and you're foraging for food and things. But we have changed as a species, some for the very, very good. You can now live a long and healthy life with the interventions of medicine. But unfortunately, there are other things that are really hurting us. And hopefully we can find ways to sort of circumvent those. One way not to circumvent those is to complain about it on fucking Instagram. Kylie.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and here are 5 racist things white teachers do every day.
Okay, 5 racist things that white teachers do every single day. Let's have a look.
For context, I worked as a substitute teacher for the last year in Chicago, and I saw every single one of these. Number 1, downplaying or erasing the horrors of slavery. Not talking about the dehumanization and brutalization of Black people and instead saying that they worked on plantations is erasure. It's not okay.
I mean, do people really do that? Like, I'm sure some do, but like, if you looked at the vast majority of teachers, particularly in like a history department, I'm sure most of them would go, yeah, slavery is very bad.
Number 2, ignoring racism when it happens in class.
I don't think people would ignore racism if it was blatant racism. I think what you would define as racism is what most people would define as, like, what are you fucking talking about, lady? Are you complaining again?
Black students will say racist things about South Asian students. Hispanic students will say the N-word. There's just a lot of racism, and teachers tend to ignore it.
Hang on, did you just not... She didn't blame white people then? Oh my God.
Number 3, disproportionate discipline. Black students are 4 times more likely to be suspended, and white students are rarely held accountable even when they do pretty atrocious things. Number 4.
Interesting. What does pretty atrocious things mean? I would like to think that most schools would suspend someone if they did something badly, based not on the color of the skin, but what they actually did. I don't know. It's hard for me to comment on that because I don't know what the fuck's going on in America at these schools or what state she's talking about. But what I can say is in Australia, I don't think that happens. Unless these black students had done these things before. Like if this was a repeat offender? What is the recidivism rate when it comes to white and black students? I think that's something you'd have to look at as well. Because if someone was a black kid and they did this particular bad thing at school before, they'd probably get a longer suspension or be more likely to be suspended than the white kid who did it had never done it before. They would be much more likely to get the suspension rather than the white kid who's never done it before, or vice versa. I think that would be accurate. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look into it.
4. Calling students by easier names. It's not okay to not learn your student's name, especially
Bullshit.
when it's been 8, 10, 12 months.
Fucking shit. I hate this. This is... Okay, this happens in Australia right now a lot in sport. They'll have someone from Tonga or from Samoa or from New Zealand, and they've got 405 fucking syllables in their name, and they expect the commentators on the sport to say their name perfectly as they run through a gap in the defense and do something exciting. I'm sorry, but if your name is longer than my fucking entire address, then I'm not going to say it all perfectly, okay? We are white people. We know names like Brian and Steve and Smith, and that's it, okay? We don't know names like Whakatangi Sawa Hama Halawisi, okay? For a white person to say Whakatangi Sawa Halawisi, we have to have a fucking brain aneurysm in the middle of that. If you've got the shits with that, fucking deal with it.
And number 5, not teaching anything about Black history, queer history, or immigrants in general. They only talk about MLK and Rosa Parks super briefly for like 1 week.
And queer history, I don't know why that's part of racism. But yeah, black history, they should probably talk about black history. They should probably talk about white history. They should probably talk about all different types of history. But also, they're at school, so how long do they actually have to touch on all these subjects enough to actually learn something from them? Congratulations, Kylie, you made a shit list. Shut up.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and here are 4 categories of conservative people. I grew up around a lot of conservative people, so I've noticed there are 4 major patterns or types of people that fall into this category. Number 1, narcissists. These are people that expect the world to revolve around them.
Okay, Kylie's going to go through and talk about like the racists, the narcissists, the really heavy religious people that are part of what would be considered conservative politics or right-wing politics. I would like to add that probably the largest portion is people who were 10 years ago, they would consider themselves left-leaning, like myself. And now the political spectrum has shifted so much that you have to be a woke fucking lunatic to be a part of the left, that most people are right-wing. That's all I'll say on that subject.
Men don't hate powerful women. They want to domesticate us. In the same way that they see a wild animal that they want to turn into a house pet, that is what they want to do to women who are against the status quo.
I have never seen a wild animal and wanted to fucking put it in my house.
Women who are outspoken, who have a lot of money, and who do things that are not associated with traditional femininity.
I treat women who are outspoken, loud, and annoying like I treat men who are loud, outspoken, and annoying. I tend to not like them. Call me fucking misogynistic all you want. If you're a loud woman who screams about how she's a boss bitch, chances are you're not a boss bitch. You're just a bitch. And if you're carrying on about that so much, like if you're actually a boss bitch, like I watch the Beverly Hills Housewives, you know, that show, and there's this lady on there called Boz, right? This show's full of all these fucking women who have money from divorces. That's it. There's this lady called Boz on there who was like a high up executive at Netflix, and she's made all her own money herself. And she's actually a boss bitch. And all these other ones are just painful with opinions. Like that's all these people are. And I think it's hilarious because you hear all the other people on the show scream about how much they control things and how much they are, you know, leading the charge for young women. When in reality, all they're teaching young women is what you should do is marry for money and then divorce that person, then you'll have money. It's a great lesson.
Are absolutely a threat to men, which is why you will see so many conservative men constantly swiping on liberal women on dating apps. They know that we want nothing to do with them, and they see that as a challenge because their ultimate goal isn't just to find a wife. They don't want someone who already loves them and is already subservient to them.
I think there's probably just as many right-wing women as there is left-wing women. I mean, otherwise Trump wouldn't have got in. But also, I see a lot of articles about how, you know, left-wing women are just like, hey, we need some real men over here. Like, what's going on? We can't deal with this. And that's because all the, like, the decent dudes, the nice dudes that open the car door for you dudes are slightly right. I'm not talking about right-wing. I'm talking just slightly right of center.
Instead, they want to take a woman who would never consider that lifestyle and break her down to the point where she is then his servant, where she cooks all his meals, where she stays in the home, where she births his kids. That is their fantasy.
If my wife birthed our child in the home, I would be pissed.
And that is why right-wing red pill content is so popular right now.
Because everyone hates people like you. That's the only reason, Kylie.
Let's talk about how white women love true crime but hate justice. I say this as a white woman. A lot of the women who look like me are hyper-focused on Netflix documentaries and true crime.
And what is the problem with that? Tell me this.
Podcasts. But when it comes to actual racial justice or prison abolition, they are silent. Why? Because true crime content glorifies white victims and centers around a good versus evil narrative. Not to mention, it glorifies cops. These types of...
She says this right now whilst the most popular show on Netflix is a show about a white lady murdering a black lady. People love it, and they can't believe how outrageous that documentary is. You should watch it. It's really good. But you're just wrong, Kylie, on all of these fronts. Like, you record these, you write these. You are just wrong, mate. You're just not right, Kylie. I don't know how else to put it, but like, you're misinformed, mate. You're caught in the wrong algorithm, babe. I think what Kylie needs is just a bloke to treat her well. Just a guy to be nice to her, and then she'll be fine. She'll go back to normal. But at the moment, she's fucking lost the plot.
Hi, my name's Kylie, and here are the top 5 phrases that white people use to indicate they are a closeted racist.
Let's see how many of these phrases you or I, as possible white people, probable white people, maybe a white person, use on a daily basis or at least a weekly basis. And we're going to find out. If you get more than 3, you're a racist.
Number 1, I'm not racist. I treat everybody the same.
I've said that. And I do, I think. Well, to an extent. I think, I've said this before, and I don't think this is an outrageous opinion. People usually treat people who are the same skin color as them in a different way to people who are not. And I think that goes for every single ethnicity and skin color. I think that's pretty fair. But yeah, I think we should try, and we should try our best to treat everyone equally, regardless of skin color, what they look like, their disability, or what gender they are.
And although they treat everyone the same, they are the people who often spew the most racist and hateful stereotypes in private. Number 2, I just care about the economy. No, you only care about preventing black, brown, queer, or disabled people from accessing healthcare. And then you go home to your white family and your white kids and you start saying slurs and convincing your kids why they shouldn't marry a person of color.
Is that what happens when people question like socialist healthcare? They go home and fire slurs off?
Number 3, I don't like identity politics.
Nobody who is worth anything likes identity politics.
Oh, you mean when it's not about you? Because whiteness is already centered
Hang on a second, I've already got 3. Although I didn't say anything about the economy, so I'm only on 2.
The other aspect. So the one time it's not, you.
Who's on 3 out there?
Number 4, why does everything have to be about race?
Okay, I'm done. I'm fucked.
Because everything is about race. Because quite literally anything that you can think of in America is rooted in race.
In your life, it is rooted in race.
Tipping culture, the naming of streets, gentrification. And number 5, I just think people should follow the law. You mean the law that is inherently racist and that criminalizes blackness or that has banned...
Oh, fucking hell, Kylie. Get a hobby, you fucking whinger. I don't know if everyone has the word whinger in their country, in their dialect, but whinger means someone who just complains non-fucking stop, and people try to avoid them because all they do is fucking whinge and complain. That is you, Kylie. You are painful. That's the end of the video. Be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. It extinct. Toodaloo au revoir. Bye-bye.